Greetings, welcome back. Maik Wiedenbach coming at you with training and diet for natural athletes versus people that are chemically enhanced. Disclaimer, I do not condone or condemn steroid use. Personally, people can do whatever they want as long as they don't bother me. So, steroids, they are not magic pills, but they also don't kill on impact. They're somewhere in the middle, but they work. So as a natural athlete, there's basically three areas that you have to be more cautious. So, people on steroids can train longer and harder because steroids enhance their recovery. They also can train sloppier. So if you look at your favorite YouTube guy like this King, this Kamil, Khalid or whatever, and you try to train like him, your joints will explode, okay? But certain steroids, they just give you that extra lubricant and you can train in a sloppy way and get away with it. And lastly, steroids help with food and nutrition partitioning. So when you see these photos on Instagram or whatever of guys being ripped and eating ice cream, the answer to that is a lot of drugs, okay? So if somebody eats enough, takes enough trenbolone and clenbuterol or whatever, this guy can be ripped and eating a pint of Haagen-Dazs. That is the truth. I'm just not making any false advertisements here. So, what does this mean for you? As a natural athlete, you have to control your volume and your intensity. You cannot train all out all the time as users can. So you have to be more cautious as to, is my appetite changing? Am I getting grouchy? How am I sleeping? And you have to manipulate your volume into where it's feasible for you and be very, very conscious about your recovery. It doesn't mean you can train hard or often. In fact, as a natural athlete, I recommend you train more often but shorter. Think like 40 minutes a workout. Then there's technique. Like I said, you cannot do ugly reps. It's not going to work. So you have to be very conscious about what I always talk about, execution and tension. Otherwise, you're going to get injured. And then lastly, food. So when it comes to food, there's two areas, right? So there's bulking and cutting. So bulking, it's not a huge difference between steroid users and natural athletes because food is anabolic per se, so you can gain a good amount of muscle without drugs. However, if you're dieting, that's where steroids really shine because they're anti-catabolic. So somebody on steroids can run a much bigger deficit than you can and still keep the muscle. So if you're dieting, you have to give yourself more time. So basically, in conclusion, you have to understand that when you're bulking, you can only have a smaller surplus than steroid users. And by the same token, when you're dieting, you can't have that big of a deficit. Otherwise, you will lose the muscle. So things will take longer. So as a natural, you need to have a plan, okay? You can't just wing it. Meaning, ideally, you break the year down into your micro and meso cycles, what you want to do, which muscle you want to bring up, and what you're gonna eat, are you gonna be in a surplus, or are you gonna have maintenance, and so on and so forth, and work from there. I also recommend that you have an event, a photo shoot or a show or whatever. Why? Because that's going to give you something to train for and it's going to make you better. Think about it, like every athlete has something like the New York City Marathon or the triathlon, so whatever. In bodybuilding, we just go to the gym and work out, right? But we never really perform. So when you have an event, and this goes for users and natural athletes just all alike, it really shows you, the emperor without clothes. So when I did my very first show, I was the biggest guy in my gym. And then I got to the show and I realized that besides my quads and calves, my whole body sucked. So then, back to the drawing board and I got better. So as a natural athlete, there's no use in, getting all depressed or so. You just have to understand there are three things you have to pay attention to. Your recovery, your food intake, and your execution. If you manage those, you can build an amazing physique without drugs. Can you be as big or as ripped as drug users? Absolutely not, okay? Not a chance. No matter what the supplement industry tells you, you will not look like those guys. But you will look in a way that if you go to the beach, everybody's gonna say, holy shit, this guy looks awesome, or this girl. So again, I don't judge anybody's choices, but for natural athletes, that's what you have to be very, very conscious about. And if I don't see you guys, have a great new year. The challenge emails are going out tonight, and I hope to see you for the transformation. And speak soon. Maik out.